Hi everyone, Helen Blunden here. Hope you're happy, healthy and well. Time for a new video today where I will share some reasons of why I DNF books. I know that some people might never DNF books, others do. I know that whenever I do, I have these very strong emotions that overcome me, emotions of guilt, indifference, frustration, and I thought, given that in the last couple of weeks I DNF'd a couple of books, this spurred me thinking as to what are the reasons why I would DNF a book and share them with you. But first I'm going to have a sip of my coffee. Okay, it's not really coffee because I'm already caffeinated enough as it is. I do every afternoon have this stuff. Do you know what chicory is? It's pretend coffee. You make it like coffee. It's just a nice warm drink without the caffeine. And I bought this brand Chicory Leroux, who's very well known in France for making this chicory. And it's a family run company. And I bought it through an importer and I love it. So it's something that I like to have every afternoon. But the very first reason I DNF books is that they've got problematic themes, and in this day and age, especially in a world that is quite violent, quite aggressive, I'm finding more and more as I age, I cannot read books that are sexually explicit, and I cannot read books that are violent, aggressive, somehow grate on me and move me into a different mental state that I don't want to be in. But also the theme where the author is mocking the reader through intellectual debate, and you're reading it and you feel as if he or she is mocking you, then I definitely put the book down. When I put a book down, I kind of realize that it's gone to that point simply through some actions that lead up to that. Actions that you probably realize yourself. You don't pick up that book as often as you do other books, or you procrastinate and you find other reasons and other things to do other than reading the book. It takes a long time for you to read one page, or you're constantly having to go back, read and reread a page. These are all actions that show you you're heading towards DNFing. One of the other things that I realize in myself is I'm someone who loves Postit notes. I'm very tactile. I write a lot of notes with the books that I read, and if I haven't been taking any notes in at least the first 100 or so pages, if the book doesn't inspire me to write anything, to think of anything, to reflect on anything, it's showing me that it's not enough to keep my interest. I'm not invested enough to keep reading. This happened with these two books in the last couple of weeks. These were from two very good authors, very well-known authors, and one author whose video I recently did. This one was Sigrid Nunes, called The Vulnerables. It's a new book. A recent review I did of hers, The Friend, which was brilliant. I was really surprised by putting this book down. The reason I will come to this as to why I did it, because this was no problematic themes at all. Neither was this one. This one was Deborah Levy. She is also very well known, and this one was written in the 1990s, called The Unloved. The second reason I have for putting down a book is its choppy writing style, which is the reason I gave up on this one. I'm someone who am quite open to authors and writers expressing their story in different forms and experimenting. I say all power to them, do it. But sometimes I find choppy writing styles when I'm not in the mood, or if the writing style doesn't reflect the subject or the story in some way, or it's somehow misleading, somehow trying to be overtly different, or overtly prodding the reader, or overtly trying to intellectualize something or to mock in some way, I will put it down. And it's usually the feelings that I get. It's really hard to explain that this book does X, Y, and Z. It's really because we all approach books very differently. So when I read a book and I get certain feelings from the writing style and how things are not gelling, or if I'm getting certain feelings of the author trying to lecture or tell us what they think we should be thinking, then I don't feel compelled enough to read the book because it doesn't capture my interest. It doesn't intrigue me by forcing me to think of that myself. Now this one here, the writing style, I found difficult to follow because some of the characters also had names and sometimes she would refer them to something different. These characters would swap and change, which meant that I started having a cognitive overload reading this book, and when I wanted to read something a little bit flowy, this book wasn't the right one. Now that's not to say that just because I put it down I'll never go back to it. I might go back to it, and books, I feel, come into our lives at certain times, and sometimes, I don't know about you, but I'm always looking for that book that could suck me right in straight away, and a book that I live and experience, a book that I love, and a book that I want to talk about and share with others. When they do come across your life, you'll never forget them, and you'll love them and you'll adore them, but sometimes it's a bit of a fishing journey. It's a bit of a exploring journey. You have to go through a lot of books in order to find that one that you will always remember. For me, books are all about being able to glean from the storyline a particular lesson or a particular theme or an idea or a concept that the author is putting across but not telling what it is. If I don't get that in the first 100 or so pages, I'll leave it aside. I will read up to about 100 pages, and if I haven't gotten into it with those reasons, I'll leave it aside. But I do feel guilty at times, and I feel guilty especially if I've bought a book. But what I do to overcome that is I will then gift that book out to others who I think might like it more than me. Sometimes I'll hold onto that book and revisit it some years later. And an example of that was Catch-22. I bought Catch-22 back in 1994, but I didn't pick it up until 2024, and it took so many years, and I procrastinated and procrastinated because of the writing style. But then I forced myself to read it slowly but surely. I got into the storyline and even did a review here. So there you go. It might just mean the book isn't the right time for you yet. So DNFing library books, no big deal. I'll just return them to the library. And I see from Deborah Levy here, this is a well-used book. So obviously people are reading her books. I don't know whether they like them or not, or whether they like me DNF them. So there you go. They're the reasons why I DNF certain books. Let me know if you are someone who leaves books aside like me, or if you are someone who prefers to read them, grit your teeth and just plod on through. Let me know. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.